Welcome, gamers. This week in gaming, we're talking about E3. I know I was supposed to do a video Wednesday about it, or Thursday, but I got a little bit busy. But let's talk about the train wrecks of some of the E3 participants and the swan songs of the others. So, first, I'd like to begin with Capcom's announcements, where they did basically nothing. Not gonna lie, if they weren't here at this E3, it would have just been fine. Why? Well, there's a few Resident Evil stuff. Village DLC is in the works. That's cool. Resident Evil Reverse, the multiplayer Resident Evil game, is also coming next month. Monster Hunter Rise is getting more content, but we already knew this. They already told us this, I think, at the beginning of the game's release. They're like, hey, we're gonna keep releasing new content like we did with World. And now, Ace Attorney Chronicles featuring Sherlock Holmes. Now that's interesting. And that's about it. We already knew about Monster Hunter Stories 2. That one was already announced, I want to say, many months ago. It's just nobody cares now. We already know. And so, yeah, Capcom did basically nothing. They only had 5 things, and it was just awful. It was bad. On to the next really big loser, Square Enix. So yeah, they gave 20 minutes, 30 minutes of gameplay footage of the Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, and I don't think anybody actually gave a shit. At least I personally didn't care for it, but of course that's because I'm not a big Guardians of the Galaxy fan, so it wasn't substantial to me, but it didn't look like it got that much positive reception online either. I didn't hear anybody really talk about this compared to a few of the games that were mentioned at this E3. Let's see what else. Black Panther War for Wakanda is the next DLC for the Avengers game, and I mean, that game could have a comeback, but it's not looking too great. Babylon's Fall, people were not happy with the fact that it got changed really drastically. At least that's what I've been told. And the general reception to it was it doesn't look that great, and it didn't, at least from just the trailer itself. But supposedly the 2017 version, or at least the trailer that was coming out for that, looked way better than this gameplay. So concerning. Life is Strange, True Colors. I mean, I enjoyed, I think, the first game, at least watching it. I haven't played it, but at least the story until the very ending, it was really good. And I do hope that this kind of captures the first game's essence again. Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin. Yeah, people only cared about the fact that Garland was in the game and nothing else, really. Now, it is interesting to see that Final Fantasy is breaking apart from its usual fighting game, the Disgaea series. And now it's getting onto what seems to be a Dark Souls, they said. Dark Souls Final Fantasy game. So I didn't get much from the trailer either, but Garland looked pretty cool. And then Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster brings the first 6 games back, and hey, game preservation. So I think this is a good thing. But really, Square Enix didn't have much either. It wasn't all that great, honestly. Again, if they didn't come here, I don't think anybody really would have cared. Now, another thing that really kind of was disappointing, but it wasn't seen as awful, was the Gearbox E3, where they talk about Godfall getting its new DLC, and they also talked about Tiny Tina's new game. What is it called? Wonderworld or something like that? Basically, it's just Tiny Tina. We all like that, but what they primarily talked about was the movie for Borderlands, and I still can't believe Kevin Hart got Roland. Seriously, that man is not fit to play Roland. Now, it's not because Kevin Hart's a bad actor or anything, but Roland's a very serious character, and they got Kevin Hart to play him. A comedian for a very serious, if they, I don't know. Honestly, I don't think the casting was that great for Roland, but hey, you know what? Kevin Hart could be very versatile. I don't know. So I'll hold and reserve my judgment until, they come out with the movie, but really, there wasn't anything from Gearbox that much, so they really were just here to just talk about a few things, so that's fine. But Capcom and Square, we thought something big was going to happen, and oh boy, were we disappointed. So, on to the moderately successful and not poorly received announcements. Digital Devolver announced many few things, such as Shadow Warrior 3, Phantom Abyss, Trek to Yomi, Death's Door, Tumble Time, Wizard with a Gun, I actually really like that, Inscription, and Demon Throttle, and they also sold an NFT, and I don't think that's a good move, but that's whatever. But so, Digital Devolver did a really good job at least getting some hype around Shadow Warrior 3, Wizard with a Gun also got a decent amount of hype, and yeah, I think this was a pretty good showing for Digital Devolver. Next, I want to talk about Ubisoft, where I was very disappointed with how Rainbow Six Extraction came out to be, at least from the beta footage that content creators came out. Now, I had a kind of like preconceived vision of what Rainbow Six Extraction was going to be like, and I was very disappointed by it, unfortunately. I thought they were going to be able to incorporate literally every operator and have, like, you know, their different abilities work within the game, but that doesn't look like it's going to happen. So I'm a little disappointed, but we'll see maybe, you know, if it's an actual good game, and it's just that right now, because it's in beta and it's not quite finished, you know, it's going to, you know, get more improved, but it is coming out very soon, so I'm not sure how much they can change. Watch Dogs Legion, I mean, sure, we got Aiden and Wrench, but nobody cares about Watch Dogs Legion. After, you know, besides its very interesting premise, but nobody cares. Just Dance 2022, it's more Just Dance. Werewolves Within gets a movie trailer, and I never knew Ubisoft did movies and, like, TV shows. Sure, I know Rainbow Six, you know, had a Amazon Prime show, but, like, I didn't know Ubisoft was directly, like, giving input for this type of stuff. Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope, you know, that's a really big announcement, particularly with the fact that Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle came out as, what, a launch title, kind of? Or, like, very soon after the Switch, and that game was really good, I think, in my opinion, and so it changes some of the movement. Instead of being grid-based, it's more free roam, and so I think it's very interesting. But the big kicker was the Avatar game, Frontiers of Pandora, and how many people actually still like Avatar? Like, so obviously I know people are still very invested in the world and its story, but, like, I just haven't heard much about Avatar at all. And so I guess now with the technology and Ubisoft being known as, you know, the open world game studio, sure, Avatar Frontiers of Pandora I think could be very good, but Avatar has been out for more than, like, a decade, and it just hasn't capitalized on its, you know, success. Supposedly this could be, like, 5 movies, the second one's coming out soon or something, and I just, honestly, I'm not entirely sure if this game would be successful off of, you know, its gameplay or its, you know, atmosphere and story. We'll see, but I'm not too sure about this game, honestly, so I don't know. Next up, we've got the Guerrilla Collective. They got some games like Fire Girl Fights, or just Fire Girl, Hunt the Night, Demon's Mirror, Death Trash, Bats, Despot's Game. That's not the title. Sable. That game's art style is fantastic. I think it looks great. Venice 2089, Robo Dunk, and Arcade Paradise. And so, honestly, I'm not hyped for any of these games in particular besides Sable, but I do know at least a decent amount of people that enjoyed at least some of these announcements, so good for them. And we're going to transition into the IGN Expo, where they talked about a few things like Haunted Space, The Forgotten City, Splitgate Bramble, and Survival Machine. So, cool, but now we got to the Coke Primetime Gaming announcements. Final Form, Dolmen, King's Bounty 2, Scars Above, Encased, Martha is Dead, Broken Pieces, Chernobyl Light, and Payday 3 got announced. I think particularly the biggest announcement was the Payday 3 coming to consoles and PCs in 2023, but I don't know if Payday 2 is going to be able to support, or Payday 3 is going to be able to support consoles, because they barely did that in Payday 2. Like, sure, it came out, but then they stopped releasing DLC, and it just kind of stopped getting updates. So, I don't know. We'll see if Payday 3 can actually support PC and console updates, but I do hope that their engine isn't awful. The Diesel engine was meant to be for racing games, and somehow Payday 2 worked on that system, and it just, I don't know. Chernobyl Light also got some, I think, hype too, but The only one that I found super, super notable, at least from my perspective, was Payday 3, but, you know, people liked certain other things in here. So now, I do want to talk about the Xbox Bethesda announcements, the Summer Games Fest, and Nintendo, not necessarily in that order, and talk about their E3 presentations, which I think really hit the scene out of the park, due to the fact that not only some big games were announced, some that we didn't even know were going to come out, and also just, you know, generally being good performances all throughout E3. So I'm going to start with Xbox first. Starfield finally is an Xbox and PC exclusive. We got that confirmed, and they also announced a release date, and I still don't know anything about it. It looks just like another space game, and I mean, that's not all that bad, but I do hope they do something that's unique about it, and I hope it's not just Skyrim except in space. because otherwise it's just like, who cares then? Just play Skyrim. Just give Todd Howard even more money from Skyrim. But, that's besides the point. Contraband was announced. Psychonauts 2 is coming in August, and ooh, everybody loved that. Back 4 Blood will launch for the Xbox Game Pass, and hey, that's good for the game, but I don't know if it's going to really, capture the essence of Left 4 Dead 3. We will see, though, and see whether or not it can carve out a identity for itself. 12 Minutes, the indie game roguelike, essentially, is coming out in August, and I think it's a very interesting concept. I'm not sure how much fanfare it will actually get, but I am rooting for the game. Sea of Thieves is getting a Pirates of the Caribbean crossover, and I find that extremely hilarious, but at the same time also depressing because Johnny Depp kind of got screwed. But that's besides the point. Sea of Thieves is getting a Pirates of the Caribbean crossover. Good for them. Fallout 76 Steel Rain is the next update, and I don't know how the hell that game survived. Honestly, with the disastrous launch and its disastrous, at least first few DLCs, I can't believe this game survived. Honestly, the fact that it literally made a comeback makes me think that Marvel's Avengers in the next year will become the biggest game. And I don't know how, but hey, you know what? If the game's good, the game's good. But honestly, I'm not into Fallout 76 gameplay loop, just in general. Hades is coming to the Xbox Game Pass, and hey, more people play Hades, the more Supergiant Games gets exposure. Wonderful to me. Absolutely wonderful. Party Animals, that game's chaos, and don't play it. It's literally too complicated for my tiny brain, and it's too chaotic for my very docile self. But, if you want to have fun, play Party Animals. Halo Infinite's multiplayer is free to play, and its single player is not, but this is really, I think, integral to spreading the Halo name out. Essentially, without you having to buy the single player, you can play the multiplayer with your friends on Xbox and PC, and you can all have a good time. I think this is very good due to, spreading the word out, but also potentially getting Halo as a esport, and potentially, help the name spread even further, make Infinite maybe a success, because maybe, hey, we like the multiplayer, we want to try the single player, and hey, single player's good. I don't know, but we'll see. Next up, Atomic Heart is a role-playing FPS coming to the Xbox Game Pass, and it looks too trippy for me. It looks kind of like BioShock in terms of general atmosphere, but set in Russia, and I mean, hey, if you like that type of gameplay and atmosphere, go right ahead and grab Atomic Heart, but I don't know, it seems too trippy for me personally. But Somerville is a Xbox console exclusive. It looks pretty good, I think, though I'm not entirely sure what it's about still. Or at least if I paid attention to it, maybe I would have. Diablo 2 Resurrected is getting a release date for Xbox, and if you like the original, supposedly this is just an expansion on the... Well, it's a remaster of the second game, so you'll have some fun there. Shredders is a snowboarding game coming in December, and does anybody actually still play these games? I remember in the PS2 era, these types of games were really big, but anybody play them now? I know Ubisoft also made a few of them, but whatever. The Ascent will be launching on Xbox Game Pass. Great. Replaced is a 2D survival game. Slime Rancher 2 is revealed, and I saw a ton of Slime Rancher fans getting very hyped about this. I enjoyed the first game, though I never really finished. I kind of got bored of it and had other things I wanted to do at the time, so... Slime Rancher 2 was a good game, though. Or at least Slime Rancher 1 was a good game. Maybe Slime Rancher 2 will get me more invested into the world and, farming aspect of it. But who knows? And Eudian Chronicle... I don't care, honestly. Grounded gets its Shroom Doom update, and I will say, it looks very fun. I don't know how many people will like the game, though, due to the spiders getting even more prevalent of a presence in this update, but we'll see. Age of Empires 4. I didn't think that this would happen, but hey, the new RTS is coming out in the Age of Empires series, and so that's great for all you RTS fans. Who knows, maybe Microsoft will bring back the RTS with this game. Redfall is a vampire slaying game by Arcane Studios, and this looks really interesting, at least in terms of art style. Gameplay, we haven't seen any. All we know is just that it's about hunting vampires as a group of 4. So once I see gameplay, I'll give an update whether or not I think it's interesting looking, but at least atmosphere-wise, it looks fun. Forza Horizon 5 is really interesting. and The Outer Worlds 2 is happening. There's literally nothing else besides the fact it just got announced, and it's really funny. You should watch the trailer. But so, yeah. Microsoft's got a pretty good lineup, and I am really excited to see how all these pan out, particularly Psychonauts 2, Starfield, and kind of Age of Empires 4. Honestly, those are the games I'm looking out for and kind of interested in seeing what will they do and how well it'll do, so we'll see in the future. Next up on the list, Nintendo announcements. Kazuya comes to Smash Bros. Ultimate. Never played Tekken, but hey, those that like Tekken, you got your representation in the game. Life is Strange is coming to the Switch, so that's great. Guardians of the Galaxy is being released on Switch, and nobody cared. Astria Ascending? Yeah, Astria Ascending is coming to Switch. Worms Rumble's coming to Switch. That game's still doing well enough that it got a Switch port, or are they trying to make it do well with a Switch port? Honestly, I'm not sure. Worms Rumble was okay, but I didn't like it. 2 Point Campus. If you like 2 Point Hospital, you'll probably like this too. You know, overcharge all your college students, you know, the usual. Mario Party Superstar was announced, which was the first, essentially, 3 Mario Party games all combined into one, and you could play online multiplayer. That's kind of great, and I'm kind of excited for it, at least in terms of what it means for Nintendo supporting, essentially, online multiplayer for a Mario Party game. We'll see. The big kicker, though, this time around, Metroid Dread. The 5th game in the mainline Metroid series. I think that's what they're dubbing it. So this was a huge announcement, particularly with the fact that they name dropped Metroid Prime 4, which is still in development, at least from what the developers are saying. But Metroid Dread, the game that was announced in 2006 for the DS, and then was just dropped. And supposedly it was being revived for, I think, the Wii, they said, then the Wii U, but both times it got dropped. Because the hardware wasn't good enough or whatever. And then now they're making the 5th and supposedly final game in the mini arc that they have for Samus. So this is huge. And I do hope that with this new game, Metroid can flourish even more. Literally the staple at the beginning of the Metroidvania series, and the fact that it got no love until now, and recently, kind of. It's just, I think it's quite great. And so, anyway, besides me gushing all over that, Just Dance 2022 is coming. Okay. Cruisin' Blast is a Switch exclusive. Okay. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot is coming this September, and I'm not an anime fan. I'm not a fan of Dragon Ball Z either, so Mario Golf Super Rush, it will get free updates, and that's pretty cool. But I don't like golf in real life, nor do I like it in games, so it's whatever. WarioWare Get It Together, it got a release date, and oh my gosh, they brought back another game series that was basically dead at this point. Shin Megami Tensei 5 finally got a release date, and we all thought it was not going to be released this year. Oh, how we were wrong. So, it looks pretty cool, but I still don't understand what's going on. I still don't get what, there's this guy that comes out of the sky, and you fuse with him, like Dragon Ball Z style, and it just looks cool, but I don't know what the hell's going on. Granted, I don't know anything that goes on in any of the Shin Megami Tensei games. For you Danganronpa fans, you get the first 3 games and then another party game. I think that's what it was, to the Switch in the collection called the Danganronpa Decadence package game, something like that. So honestly, if you want to relive the experience and/or if you haven't played it, you should. At least that's what my friends tell me. I don't know how it plays out, but I've heard it was pretty good. And Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp got announced, and it's another game series that we thought was dead, either due to Fire Emblem or the fact that it kind of just fell out of favor. So, hey, that's pretty cool. Maybe, who knows, we'll get a new Advance Wars game. Fatal Frame Maiden of Black Water is got announced, and too spooky for me. Doom Eternal DLC is coming to Switch, and I don't know how you people play on a controller, because Doom Eternal is hard on the PC. I don't know how y'all do it on the Switch, but hey, you do you. Strange Brigade is heading to the Switch, and finally? The game's been out for quite a long time, and I'm kind of surprised that now it's getting a release on Switch. But hey, more games on more systems, that's just only more good, honestly, in my opinion. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity got an expansion pass, and If you liked the game, you liked it. I just don't care for Koei Tecmo's Dynasty Warriors style game, so yeah, I didn't quite talk to me. And The Legend of Zelda Game & Watch collection was revealed, or at least one game. I don't know if they said there were more than one game, but there was at least one game, and so for collectors, this will just be, something for you. Other people, whatever. But the biggest kicker, why don't they have it listed here? Yeah, but Breath of the Wild 2 got announced, and everybody is so happy about that. So I'm happy for y'all. I never played the first game, and I don't think I will. I don't know. Maybe I'll play it in the future and see if I do like it. And yeah, so there were a lot of happy people. Oh, and The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword is being released in July, if you didn't play it on the Wii when it first came out. So this is all pretty good, but I don't care about The Legend of Zelda as much as other people do. And finally, we're going to talk about a few other games that were announced during the Summer Games Fest. Now, if you're looking at the page, you'll see the Elden Ring release date, and I'll talk about that later. But let's go down the list. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands was officially revealed. I mean, it just looks like the expansion from Borderlands 2, I think. But obviously, in Tiny Tina's Dungeons and Dragons world. So, pretty cool. Metal Slug Tactics, new game of the Metal Slug series. A lot of games that kind of died out are now getting revivals, kind of. I know Tactics is not what the original Metal Slug was, but it's pretty cool nevertheless. Death Stranding Director's Cut is arriving soon with the most confusing trailer ever. Like, I thought there was going to be a crossover with MGS, but, like, it was literally just a box of oranges that was toppled over, and it just... I don't get it. Kojima's weird. He's weird. Sable, new trailer, looks really cool. Jurassic World Evolution 2 got announced, and I thought that was pretty cool. But I never played the first game, and nor do I really care about Jurassic World in general. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War and Warzone Season 4 are coming out, and if you like Warzone and COD, you'll like this, but I don't care for that game series either, honestly. Lost Ark is coming to the West, Among Us roadmap got revealed, and it looks pretty interesting, though I really wish they were able to capitalize it more. But due to the fact that it's such a small team, they kind of lost the general crowd. At least, like, the influencers, but in the smaller groups, amongst friends and whatnot, the game's still very popular, and the game's still getting a lot of love. So, good for Among Us, but I really wish they did have more people to work on it, because I thought this game could have had a lot more staying power. Fortnite still does, but it's kind of died down a little bit compared to a few other games. Salt and Sacrifice, cool. Smite and Stranger Things are getting a crossover, and okay, that's pretty cool. It's kind of like when Stranger Things got a crossover with Dead by Daylight. It's pretty cool, but I don't play Smite. 2 Point Campus, I talked about that. Rocket League and Fast and Furious are getting another crossover. So yeah, pretty cool for Rocket League fans and Fast and Furious fans, but I don't play that game either. Solar Ash is from the creator of Hyper Light Drifter. This generated a lot of hype within the Hyper Light Drifter community, and I will say, that game looks cool. I still need to finish Hyper Light Drifter, but if it's anything like HLD, I think I'll like Solar Ash. The Anacrusis is a sci-fi Left 4 Dead, and it kind of looks cool, but I don't know. The Dark Pictures Anthology, House of Ashes, the Dark Pictures Anthology, House of Ashes got shown off, and it looks cool, but it's put in a setting where it could be controversial, or at least a little bit. I don't know. Tales of Arise looks pretty cool. Planet of Lana looks cool. Monster Hunter Stories 2. This was already announced way beforehand in the first place, so whatever. Overwatch 2. We saw Baptiste and Sombra redesigns, and I just don't care. Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout gets a Nier Automata skin, 2B. And I don't know why Nier is suddenly getting a lot more crossovers, or a lot more games too, but hey, good for Nier Automata. Deviation Games announces a partnership with PlayStation, and this is basically just a bunch of ex-COD developers, like, I forgot the two guys, Jason Blundell and one other person, and it looks interesting, but will they be able to make a good game? Because, to put this into perspective, when Titanfall came out, made by Respawn, it was literally by ex-Infinity Ward developers. That first game did okay, but man, it did not do that well. At least comparatively to like a few other games that got released at the time. And then Titanfall 2 came out, and there were sources saying that supposedly EA made the release date in between COD and Battlefield, which was stupid. But then supposedly a developer or the main head of the Respawn group said, "Hey, let's put it in between these two games." So either way, whoever did it is fucking stupid. We're gonna get that out of the way, but. Who knows? Maybe the fact that Deviation Games is going to partner with PlayStation will make it, at least a big hit on its platform. But who knows if it will be good enough to get a sequel or like another game from the group. We'll see. I do find it interesting, though, that PlayStation is partnering with them. So we'll see in the future. Tunic gets a trailer and Xbox demo comes out for it. Tribes of Midgar. Interesting. The Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt is a battle royale and... cool. But it's kind of late to try to like get into the battle royale scene, particularly since most battle royales now fill in a niche. Like Apex Legends is a movement shooter, so that game's super fast, and there aren't annoying things like flashes, right? So, and there aren't even many like movement slowing things besides like a few characters here and there. The game is very fast. COD Warzone has like a loadout system, and it plays like a COD like death match, except with battle royale elements. PUBG is for the dead gamers, or people that care about dead games. And so yeah, honestly, I don't know if this game's going to be able to carve out a name for itself, so we'll see, but I don't know. The Evil Dead gets a game, and I just never cared about The Evil Dead, so we'll see whether or not the fan base really wants this game to come out, and really if they enjoy it. And then finally, Elden Ring. Whew-wee. I remember my friend was losing it. Quite frankly, he's probably still not okay, but in all the good ways. So Elden Ring finally got a release date after 2 years of literal radio silence, and only like one leak that didn't even like give much information came out. And so, hey, it looks cool, and I definitely think that an open world Dark Souls set in the universe by J.R.R. Martin would be very cool. So I think this has the potential of being great. But again, we'll see whether or not it actually does good. Because it could be just not that great because of execution and whatnot, but we'll see. But I'm pretty hyped for the game. So we'll see if From Software can do much good with this. So that's the end of E3 news that I want to talk about. I do want to talk about a few other things that also got brought up this week that I wasn't able to cover because it kind of got announced recently. Supposedly, EA will announce a new established IP revival at its EA Play Live next month. And people are speculating that it's going to be Dead Space, and it could be. It could also be Titanfall, because even though Apex is technically within the Titanfall universe, Titanfall 2 never got a full, Titanfall 3. So, and there's also rumors that there's a new IP also coming out from Respawn, but we're not entirely sure. So, we'll see if this is actually a Dead Space revival or if it might be a Titanfall 3. If it's a Titanfall 3, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm just saying, I'm going to lose my mind. It's going to be such a wonderful experience getting a new PC just to play Titanfall 3 at 144 Hz and destroying kids. Anyway, besides the point, but EA announced an established IP revival, and so this looks very cool. Not sure if it will be Dead Space, but it would be very cool. And finally, before I end off today's news, Valorant gets a new agent, at least soon. Supposedly, it's going to come out with a new episode, at least from what I've heard, but we'll see. I think it's very cool that they brought a robot into the game, and you'll be seeing me playing that a decent amount, maybe in the future. Maybe I'll start streaming more of me actually playing games and not just gaming news, but we'll see in the future. But I do like this robot. So, that's the end of E3 news. Nothing particularly big coming from a few studios like Capcom and Square, but there were some huge announcements like Nintendo's revival of the Metroid series, and hopefully Metroid Prime 4 eventually. Microsoft and Bethesda are coming out with some pretty huge games too, like Starfield, if it isn't just, Skyrim, but in space. And Elden Ring finally got a release date after 2 years of literally not having any news about it. Literally super tight-lipped. But I think this is very interesting to see that these companies are coming out with some really cool games, either that are being revived and just some new ones.
And so, yeah, I'll be very interested in see how all these all pan out. And until next time, I will see y'all later. Have a nice day.